Urban forestry. Urban forestry is the careful care and management of urban forests. Everybody lives within the forest. We seldom think about it, but the reality is that Portland is a forest. This forest benefits us in a number of different ways. Trees in the city do a lot of different things. They do a great job of cleaning up water. And years ago, water would pour onto these streets, picking up all sorts of things and taking them into the sewer. And the sewer was running straight into the river. Over a course of many decades, all the fish died, and one of the most important resources of our city was very polluted. You see, nature cleans water with the trees. Trees take the water through their roots through a process called transpiration. Water is basically sucked up toward the top of the tree with heat, and it transpires and sort of evaporates into the environment. But the process of the water going through the trees is a filter. You can consider a tree a big filter. One of the main problems today is that we produce too much carbon dioxide. Therefore, the air is becoming polluted, and the climate has begun to change. This is happening because of the choices we make on a day-to-day basis. Things like red meat, because traditional red meat comes from livestock such as cattle and sheep. These animals produce large amounts of methane, which is a greenhouse gas that packs 72 times the punch of CO2 over a 20-year period. And other things such as transportation, because of the fuel. The presence of trees could have a significant effect on carbon dioxide emissions, because as a part of photosynthesis, trees absorb water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide in order to produce oxygen. So while carbon dioxide is getting cleansed, there is also oxygen being produced. In terms of climate change, trees do a great job of removing greenhouse gas, which is carbon dioxide. Trees also help climate change by reducing the amount of fossil fuels needed by providing shade and providing a windbreak. For instance, the electricity used in the summer to get air conditioning could be lessened by a tree shading the building. Also, on the other side, winds blow from the north and the west. But if we had evergreen trees planted on the north and the west of a building, then the heat that is produced in reaction to the cold wind could be reduced. And you would need less energy to heat the building. There are two primary offices that work with trees here in Portland. Bureau of Environmental Services has a tree team that works very, very intimately with Friends of Trees. They subsidize the trees we planted around the city. If you have a house and you want to plant trees, this past season, trees only cost $25 each. For an 8 to 12 foot tree, those prices cannot be beat. If you went into a local nursery, the same tree will cost around $150 to $200. Bureau Environmental Services would deliver it, help you plant it, and even come inspect it twice over a course of the summer. The other primary organization is Portland's Parks and Recreations of Urban Forestry. They are kind of the police of urban forestry here in Portland. Oregon is the tree capital of the United States. Trees planted all around the world come from Oregon, such as the trees seen in front of Washington, D.C., the Capitol buildings. Those trees come from Oregon. The largest tree nursery in the United States is in Bourne, Oregon, only 30 minutes here from Portland. Around 75% of Christmas trees come from Oregon. Frinq Schmidt is the largest nursery in America. Friends of Trees is a nonprofit organization. Portland has the largest community tree organization, and it has been up and running for the longest amount of time, which is 25 years. There's no other city that could compare, because most of the cities just started doing community tree organizations less than just 10 years ago. This is why Portland is so successful at stopping a lot of the deforestation that is attempted within the city. An example of trees that are growing in the Portland and Oregon area would be the Hoyt Arboretum. It is a museum of trees, basically, and it has a lot of examples of the trees that are grown in the Oregon area and also around the United States. The trees that grow on there are often replicated in many other cities in order to help the environment. The state fossil in Oregon is called the Dawn redwood. And there are 3 types of redwood trees that are called giant sequoias. Coastal redwoods, and these trees are usually the biggest trees in the world. And then there's one other type of tree. That is a deciduous tree, which means it's like a Christmas tree. And in the springtime, like other trees, it gets new needles and keeps growing. There are fossils of this tree that are 5 to 10 million years old. And for 5 million years, this tree has been extinct. And they thought the tree was gone. But in 1948, there was a guy walking around in China. And he found an odd looking tree that interested him. So he took a sample of the tree and went to go study it, and found it was a dawn redwood, which had been extinct for 5 million years. So he sent the sample to a lot of scientists around the world and sent the tiny plant to the Hoyt Arboretum, and they planted the tree and grew it out. Only 10 years ago, the dawn redwood and the Hoyt